So there was like 15 minutes left in PAX. 15 minutes left until the show floor of the last day closes. And we've been walking around a lot of the day just looking for people to take pictures with, you know, etc., etc. And does anybody know who Chris Remo is? I didn't see it. Oh, that's right, that's right. Anybody know who Chris Remo is? He's the former host of the Idle Thumbs podcast, which is like was my favorite podcast ever, but they stopped doing it. It was such a good podcast, but he got hired at Irrational Games, the makers of BioShock and BioShock Infinite, so he stopped doing the podcast. But it was probably pretty much the funniest podcast on the internets. And Chris Remo, he's not only is he super funny, he's super smart, and he has amazing things to say about video games. He's also a performer. He wrote and performed several video game songs throughout the course of the recording of his podcast. Y'all probably seen Space Asshole, maybe. If someone was supposed to link to Space Asshole, it's a pretty good one.
I've already wet myself once this month. If I do it again, they'll never let me hear the end of it.
He was also on you probably heard him on the Giant Bomb, the GDC at GDC recently. The Giant Bomb did some podcasts, and he was on one of those. He was talking about Nidhogg in like Button, I think. Well, with 15 minutes left in PAX, I'm just sort of strolling around the show floor with Carlos. Carlos like, let's just check out some games. You know, it's just about over. I was like, all right, let's check out some games. So we're just running around, you know. And so when we stopped, we're like, well, what's this game? This looks stupid. As like the developer was watching us with the tear rolling down his cheek as we talk shit about his game. But it was like some, I don't know, like some Mario Kart type game, but shitty. And we were like, oh, this is stupid. Whatever. It was stupid. That's not the point. The point is, like, I was like, oh, this is dumb. And then, like, this is kind of dumb. And I'm like, isn't it dumb, Carlos? And I turned my head, and he was gone. He was gone. And I'm like, what? So then I turn my head the other direction, and I see Chris Remo. And I'm like, yeah, like Wizard. Yeah, like Chris Remo's like, oh my God, fucking Chris Remo. We're doing this picture thing. I love Chris Remo. This is gonna make the end of like PAX amazing, because I'm gonna meet Chris Remo and we're gonna do this picture thing that we've been doing. So I was really excited because he's like you know, he's like my favorite dude. And then I'm like, oh, wait, where did Carlos go? Let me find Carlos real quick, because you know this doesn't work without Carlos. Obviously, y'all seen the feature.
And how long did it take me to disappear, Brad?
You disappeared in like half a second. It was like literally the turn of my head, and he was gone. And then I turned the other way, and I saw Chris Remo. So I was like, oh, I pull out my phone. It's like, oh, let me call him. No answer. I was like, oh, let me text him. No answer. And then I called him again, and again, and again. And I'm panicking, and I'm freaking out because I see Remo. He's over there. He's watching like some dude play Dance Central or something. I don't know. He's hanging out with some bros, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be perfect. I just got to find Carlos, you know? But I couldn't find him. And then I start running around and looking everywhere. Running around all over the place. I probably called him 20 times. 17 times. And I texted him probably 20 times.
I had 17 texts.
I even lied to him and said Ken Levine was standing there and that he needs to get his ass back there. And also, like, during that time, Cliffy B walked by with his crew. But I didn't care. I wanted to talk to Chris Remo and do the picture thing with them. But nope. I spent all that time looking for Carlos, and he was nowhere to be seen. And then they shut down the show floor. So Chris Remo was like, oh, I guess it's time to go. So him and his buddies, they left, and that was it. And then I was running around. I couldn't find him, so I was like, well, I guess I have to leave too because they're closing the show floor. And then 10 minutes later, Carlos is like, dude, where are you? Is Ken Levine still there? And I said, I'm over by the Big Daddy. And he came up and was like, well, where's Ken Levine? I was like, there is no Ken Levine. And there's also no Chris Remo. He ruined it. He ruined everything for me.
What was I playing?
And you know what he was doing? He was playing some stupid fucking, like, shareware, freeware, fucking PC, like, FPS where you play as a dinosaur.
And I was literally like maybe 20 feet away from where Brad was.
20 feet. You don't understand. I searched everywhere that any decent human being might be at a public video game convention. I was like, oh, well, Carlos is probably not in the shitty, like, freeware game, like, NVIDIA booth or wherever the fuck you saw that stupid-ass game. I couldn't find him.
Poor Brad.
And he ruined everything. You don't understand. I'll probably never get another chance to... We'll never get another chance to do that. Because, you know, it has to be me, Carlos, and this person who lives in Boston.
Dinosaur game was funny, dude.
And that's how I ended PAX East.
And
With-
he bitched about that.
With,
He even
with,
bitched
with
about
tears
it
in my eyes.
for like 2 weeks.
It would have been so good. The perfect way to cap off our feature.